Hey, how's it going guys? Jack and Matt here with the Toasty Bros, and guess what? We bought another PC off Amazon, except this one was $600.
And we just unboxed this thing and we got something to show you about this PC. But before we get into that, let's hear a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by Aukey and their RGB mechanical keyboard.
So this keyboard comes with some really awesome RGB software to actually control the RGB, double shot ABS keycaps, and really awesome build quality, relatively heavy with some nice tactile blue switches.
And if for some reason this keyboard isn't interesting to you, you can most certainly check out Aukey's other keyboards that they sell on Amazon. From 10 keyless keyboards to just keyboards with different switches, they all come with that really awesome RGB and awesome build quality that Aukey is known for.
If you're interested in a budget-friendly blue switch mechanical keyboard with some nice RGB, check the link in the description down below to learn more, and special thanks again to Aukey for sponsoring today's video. So you guys really loved the video we did recently of the $400 PC we bought on Amazon. It's literally only our second 1 million plus viewed video on the channel, so thank you guys for the support on that video. We decided to try another one from the same company and kind of give a critique of this PC. And well, I'm just gonna tell you this right now, we unboxed this thing and it's not off to a good start. You wanna just go ahead and show them real quick what's going on here? Well, we unboxed this PC and well, it is missing the rear side panel.
We fill in the blank.
There's something supposed to be there, but just full disclaimer, we did buy this thing from Amazon Renewed, which seems to be like a refurbished thing through Amazon. So the seller itself may not be responsible for something like this happening. It might be Amazon's fault, but still, if this happens, contact the seller and try to get a new side panel because this is definitely unacceptable. So how about we go ahead and look inside this thing and talk more about its specs.
Okay, so what we have here is from the company Perifio, which we did a $400 one, and hopefully it kind of helped you guys, I guess, form an opinion on whether or not you wanted to buy this PC. So the other one, if I'm being honest, for $400, it was pretty subpar. This one here though, for $600, supposedly comes with an i5, no clue which one. It literally just says i5 in the post. When you go to the description, it just says i5. So we're gonna go out on a limb and say that it's probably an i5 2400 or maybe a 3rd or 4th gen i5 at the most. It's definitely an older board. It looked like it was a Foxconn board. It's just the green, OEM generic style board. Now, one cool part this thing does have is a 1650. So, not sure which one it has, but we do know this does have some new tech in it. We believe it's 8 gigs of RAM. It looks to be singular channel. It's not anything fancy. It's literally just the, OEM green style RAM. So let's go ahead and get this packing stuff out. Props to them, they did include some packing foam. Let's go ahead, pull this out. All right, we have a, looks like unscathed graphics card. Yeah, nice and seated in there. Always check this stuff before you, get really excited. Make sure everything looks okay because graphics cards like to fall out of place. But we have a really nice looking Intel cooler. That's actually very large, like an aftermarket one, but it's it's pretty cool. It's taysol.com. Very strange CPU pin layout, which makes me think this is probably like 3rd or 4th gen, because I don't think 2nd gen had proprietary connectors like that. So keep that in mind too, guys. This is not a standard connector. Now the work question is, are we using an adapter? Yes, we are. So I'm gonna flip this around for Matt to see. We have a 24 pin to a weird proprietary adapter. And then it looks like everything else is pretty standard. Let's get in here. A lot of times the fan connectors won't be standard, so keep that in mind. Basically, this thing is not really gonna be great for upgrading, of course. We have another adapter down here for the audio interface. As you can see, kind of ugly, but hey. So let's go ahead and go over what the actual specs are. So just to show you guys the RAM, singular stick, it's 8 gigs DDR3, 1600 megahertz. Actually pretty nice looking, just black stick, but look at that, it's Perifio brand. There's actually a couple things that are Perifio brand, like the SSD. I don't really know if these are actually their branding. I mean, that's not even a sticker, that's actually on there. So who knows, maybe they've actually contacted some suppliers and had some custom stuff made for them, which is pretty nice, props to them for that. So we're gonna go ahead and real quick unscrew the CPU cooler to see what actual CPU we got with this. Okay, so one thing I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys, CPU thermal paste spread, not bad. So, just keep that in mind. If this company does do their own thermal paste, they did a pretty decent job. Although it's really weird. I've never seen this before. It's like, yeah, okay, that's weird. It's a very strange thermal paste. So, wow, we have an i5 4590. So that's 4th gen, that's pretty cool. So the specs of the i5 4590 are, it's a true quad core, but It has a base frequency of 3.3 gigahertz and max turbo at 3.7. So not a super high turbo frequency, but it's 4th gen. So that should mean, in theory, it's going to be a decent amount better than the 2nd gen or 3rd gen one. So, you know, it might actually kind of pair well with this 1650 that we have. Also, single channel of 8 gigs of RAM, a 1 terabyte hard drive, a 120 gig SSD, and I don't really know what this is, GP550 80 plus bronze power supply. I mean, it says it's 80 plus bronze. I don't know if that's a true certification, but you know, nonetheless, it's cool that it might actually be certified. So it also has a Foxconn motherboard. It appears to have a USB 3 expansion card on it, which is kind of weird because it looks like it has 4 USB 3 ports and 2 USB ones, and also up front, it appears to have a USB 3 and a USB 2. I don't know for sure if those are plugged in though. That could have something to do with the expansion, but nonetheless though, I mean, it looks like you got a decent amount of USB. The case is pretty decent looking. It says it's Perifio brand once again. It looks like we actually have LED fans. Not sure if they're just blue. They could have a different color modes on them, but it looks like they're all LED rings on them. So this might actually look pretty cool. Let's actually put it back together and see if it works.
All right, guys, we are getting this computer all plugged up. Honestly, first impressions, we thought this wasn't gonna be that great, but as long as things work out, I mean, it's still a little overpriced, but you're actually getting a better value. And it looks like it's not just blue, it is RGB.
And look at that, modes, wow.
Wow, let me see the front.
Yeah, all right guys, the reveal. I'm not gonna lie, that's good looking fans.
Yeah,
wow.
I like them.
All right, we got USB. So
is she alive?
In theory, we should get display out next, if it works.
Do we have signal? It has
and
Windows.
So in theory, yeah, this should have Windows 10 Home already installed on it and activated, I'm assuming. So I'm not gonna lie, for 600, this is not the worst value. It's not as bad as the other one, although the back panel, it's a little bit, I don't really know what to do about that. I just thought about that. We're gonna have to contact and try to get a back panel. Maybe in the video we'll add an update to see how that works for us. Can we get another one, or are they gonna try to make us send the whole entire PC back? Is this the reason why it was sent back originally and we just got it not fixed?
So yeah, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get this set up and do some game testing and see how she performs.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now that we have this PC all booted up and ready to go, let's talk about those benchmarks real quick. Now, to get it out of the way, does this PC make sense for $600? No, it does not. But I have to give a big shout out to Perifio because they have made major strides with their PCs compared to the $400 one that we tested a while ago. At least with this computer for $600, you're getting a 4th gen i5 and a 1650. Now, be it the performance was not as good as I was expecting when I initially saw the specs, but still it is a pretty awesome configuration upgrade compared to the other PC that they made for $400. Now let's talk about those benchmarks. First up, with Call of Duty Warzone, this is where we started to realize that this i5-4590 is not as great as I thought it was going to be. Let me know in the comment section down below, but this i5, even though it's 4th gen, is not that great. Compared to something like a 3570 or 2400, you're not seeing much of an improvement. And in my opinion, they would have been better off opting for like a 2nd or 3rd gen i7 for around the same price and probably get way better performance. So maybe Perifio should consider making a model using something like an i7 2600, and it might be a better option than this. Even though it is an older processor, we were clearly getting bottlenecked by it in most situations, especially in Warzone, which was a stuttery mess. Now, while Warzone was struggling to stay above 60 FPS, all the other esports titles we played were perfectly fine. Being able to play games like Overwatch and Rainbow Six Siege at over 100 FPS just kind of shows you that this thing would be perfectly fine for games like Valorant and Fortnite. This is a esports ready PC, but the price tag really doesn't make a whole lot of sense again. I'm not trying to totally bash this company here, but for around $350 using something like AliExpress and building it yourself, you can definitely build a PC that would almost crush this system in most use cases, especially in Warzone, being able to play on high settings at 1080p with something like our Xeon PC. Now, yes, they are building the PC and they're giving you a warranty, which is a really awesome thing to have, but I do have to be totally upfront in saying it's still not a great value for $600. Lastly, we did test Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which on medium settings we got an average of 60 FPS, which was pretty impressive. It kind of shows that when you are running games like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the 1650 does take over a little bit for the bottlenecking that does occur from the i5 4590, so you do get a pretty decent experience, but again, it's not really matching the performance of a $600 PC in 2020. Now, a quick fix I decided to do, and Peripherio, if you are watching this, I highly suggest you take notes, was just adding 8 more gigs of memory. Now, I do think if you just decided to opt for 2 4-gig sticks as opposed to 1 8-gig stick, you would probably still get a good performance boost. But in Modern Warfare, we were experiencing way better frames, on average around 10 to 15 more frames just by adding the extra 8 gigs of memory. For a $600 PC to only have 8 gigs of memory it's not a great look. It really does need to have 16 gigs. I would highly suggest that they invest in the 16 gig kit because it makes this PC way more valuable compared to what it was before with just 8 gigs. Now, overall, I was not nearly as disappointed with this PC as I was with their $400 offering. When I first checked out the $400 PC, we bought it knowing that it was going to be a bad value and it was going to be a PSA just telling you guys not to buy it. And when I bought this PC, I thought it was going to be more in the same, but honestly, it wasn't nearly as bad. Is it worth $600? No, I do not recommend it. That's not me saying that building a $600 PC or buying a $600 PC is a bad idea. I'm just saying this spec configuration for $600 does not equal the amount of value you're getting out of it. And that does account for the normal like $150 to $200 markup that I give pre-built companies for being able to make a profit and have a running business. It still doesn't make a whole lot of sense, even with that profit margin baked in. So that about wraps up the benchmark section here. How about we go ahead and bring Jackson back in here to wrap this video up real quick.
All right, guys, so now that you've seen the benchmarks of this PC, well, is it worth $600? No, most likely this is not gonna be a good option for you, but just a few quick upgrades, and Peripherio, if you're watching, just slapping even just a 4-gig stick or changing it from just a single 8-gig stick to 2 4-gig sticks could make a big difference in the performance in the long run.
Also, to address the missing side panel, like we said, this was an Amazon refurb type deal, so probably not the company's fault, but we were actually able to get a hold of the company, and within about 5 minutes they said they were going to send a new one. So that was honestly pretty easy to get that taken care of, so props to them for having good customer service.
That's something that's very important to most people who are getting a gaming PC like this. They want to have someone they can go to if something goes wrong because they don't really know a lot about computers. So having good customer support and having that 1-year warranty is a pretty big selling point for a computer like this, making it closer to being worth the actual price point.
So if you do actually want to buy this PC, we will have affiliate links in the description down below if you want to buy it. We'll also probably have a couple alternative links that we think might be a little bit of a better bang for the buck, but overall, you know, we weren't like super disappointed with this PC, but you know, there is some minor upgrades that could be made, especially for the $600 price point that, you know, maybe we'll see in the near future. So if you haven't already, don't forget to check out our other 2 YouTube channels. We touched hands a little bit there. Don't forget to check out our twitch.tv/toasterbros. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye. We got a stream.
Woohoo!